This is the J. Scott Outdoors podcast on Western big game hunting and fishing, brought to you by GoHunt.com Insider. Research faster, hunt more. Go to GoHunt.com/insider and use the J. Scott promo code when signing up to receive a $50 KUIU gift card. I'm your host, J. Scott, and I live and breathe hunting and fishing, spending half the year in the field experiencing God's creation. I hope you'll enjoy hearing about our adventures. Guys, this is going to be a great episode on the J. Scott Outdoors podcast with my friend EJ Pfister, who is a golf instructor from Oklahoma and also owns and runs a company that feeds deer. And it's a pretty unique story. And EJ and I have been friends for a long time. And he's worked with some of the best golfers in the world and has a real unique perspective on a lot of things. And it's going to be a great episode. He's actually at the U.S. Open in Pennsylvania at Oakmont and is going to report in from there and what he's witnessed the last few days out there on the practice rounds of the U.S. Open. And then we're going to talk a little bit of deer nutrition, and we're going to talk about animal wellness. And it's just great to have a friend like EJ who loves to hunt and fish, who also brings a great business perspective to the podcast here. So, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening. I also want to thank my sponsors, Go Hunt Insider, Outdoorsman's Wilderness Athlete, Western Hunter Magazine and Elk Hunter Magazine, Utah Hydrographics, and Phone Scope. And guys, let's get right to this episode with EJ Pfister. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we have a special episode with my friend EJ Pfister. And I've known EJ for probably 20 years now, maybe more, EJ. We met out on a golf course. I was caddying for Stan Utley back 20-some years ago, and EJ was playing. Where was that, EJ? Nike Tour or something out in California, I think?
Yeah, it was out in near Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside, maybe Merino Valley, I think.
Merino Valley, yep, correct.
Yeah.
And you were caddying for a good friend of mine, Stan, and we got to talking about hunting, and it was over.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a great practice round for you and I. It was great, but for Stan and the other people, you and I didn't get a lot done other than just talking hunting. And for the listeners out there, EJ Pfister lives in Oklahoma City, or actually lives in Edmond, correct?
Yes, just northeast of Oklahoma City a little bit.
And EJ played on the Oklahoma State golf team and was NCAA national champion in, 89 or 88, EJ?
Yeah, we won the team in 88, and then I won the individual in 89. So it was a good time for me. It was a good place to go, and we had a lot of success. Of course, it didn't hurt that we had Verplank and Jeff Maggart and Michael Bradley and Brian Watts, and so we were well armed.
Team, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were well armed.
I'll bet you your second team squad could beat most teams. Your number 6 through 10 players could probably beat most NCAA teams that year.
Well, I think that's what made us so good is the competition. Other than Verplank, he was obviously winning a pro tournament as an amateur. He was pretty darn good. He was our white stallion, and everyone wanted to chase him. But below him, the competition was pretty fierce for those other 4 spots. So ultimately, I think it made us all better.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's quite a historical school to go and play golf. I know they've had just an unbelievable program, and even the last few years kicking out some great golfers. Not to mention Ricky Fowler, probably one of the best golfers that's doing really, really well right now. Who are some other players that have been coming out of Oklahoma State?
Well, you have Hunter Mahan, and then you had Ricky, and then you have Peter Uline. That class of Kevin Tway, Ricky Fowler, and Peter Uline was pretty strong. And I think Jordan Nieberge is getting close to, this may have been his last NCAA tournament. I'm not 100% sure, but obviously from the British Open he's a good player as well. So I think it's a little harder than it was back when I was in college. I think there's more universities with good programs, with great facilities, so, but also there's more athletes. Tiger made it cool to play golf. He made it cool to look strong and muscular. And so there's a lot more players, and there's a lot more universities putting capital into improving their facilities and recruiting players. And so it's a little harder, I think, now than when I was in school. But Oklahoma State still gets good players, because of history and tradition. So I hope they keep spitting out good players and more national championships.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to watch the competition. I tell you, watching the NCAAs on TV is, I think, one of the most exciting things to watch on golf. This last year, there was some unbelievable stories and such with I believe Oregon winning at home, and just NCAA golf is obviously awesome to watch. EJ, I have caught you. Where are you right now?
I'm in Oakmont, Pennsylvania at the U.S. Open with Kevin Tway and his dad. They brought me on board. Well, his dad brought me on board probably in 2000 or 2001 to start helping him, and then it just kind of integrated into helping his son, which one of the coolest moments of my life as a coach was when they asked me to caddy for him, and he won the U.S. Junior up in Boston. And it was a chance for me to use all my past experiences and teaching, to help him. And it was really cool, something I'll never forget. So the relationship has continued on, and it's been good for everybody. And he called me and said, "Hey, come on up to the U.S. Open." So I've been out here. I got out here Sunday, been here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was here for the Women's U.S. Open with some girls I had taught as well. So I'm familiar with the venue, and it's a pretty special place. As you and I talked earlier, the history, the golf course, it's just amazing. It's spectacular, the condition of the course right now.
I've been watching when I can on TV, some of the commentary and, some of the analysis, and I didn't realize it, but Oakmont has more USGA and PGA championships than any other course in the U.S. It's held 8 U.S. Opens, 5 U.S. Amateurs, 3 PGAs, and 2 U.S. Women Opens. What, in your mind, EJ, makes Oakmont just the perfect place for a major championship?
I think there's a lot of things. The precision from all aspects. You got to drive the ball well. It's not necessarily a bomber's course either. Kevin played with Ernie Els today, and I think he probably hit two drivers on the front 9. In an era now where we think bombing it and smashing it is a must to win a tournament, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case here. I think a lot of guys are going to be striving to get the ball into the fairway because the rough is so deep, thick, and lush that even though they have done something smart and staggered it, where the first cut of rough isn't that bad, the second cut it gets worse, and then it's unplayable almost. It drops to the bottom, and we were hitting L wedges and hoping to hit them 10 yards, full swing, trying to get through it. It's so thick and lush. So I think it demands precision off the tee, and then the job's not over then because the greens are so contoured that you're going to see guys probably not shooting at some of the flags. They're going to be shooting to the right or left, hoping the contour of the ground will, move it closer to the flag. And then you're going to see guys hit right next to the flag and end up 50 feet. So you've got to use your head on which pin placements and where you're going to come at them from. And then some cases over the green might be better than short. Number 12, number 1, they're so severely pitched with the people you'll see on TV. So it's really demands a high level of precision, high level of intelligence, and a lot of patience because there's going to be some bogeys made. I found out that last time when Cabrera won, he made 18 bogeys.
Wow.
For the week, there was only like 5 rounds under par.
Wow, I forget what Angel Cabrera's winning score was in 2007, but it had to be just over par, huh?
Yeah, it was right around par, or slightly over, I think. I don't know if he shot under par, but with 18 bogeys, I'm not sure
Yeah, he
if he
had to
did
make a
shoot
lot
low.
of birdies.
Yeah, he had to make a ton of birdies, and then too, I was walking with with Kevin Tway's dad, and we were discussing that all the greens are to grade. There's no, which you very rarely see anymore. Everything's to grade. If the whole approach is a downhill, the greens also slopes from front to back. A lot of the holes, they leave the open front so you can roll the ball on if needed. Not a lot of force carries except for the par threes. So it's the design of it is genius. And I asked the guys in the clubhouse if they changed anything, some of the members, and they changed the shape of a few of the greens to add more pin placements, but you wouldn't be able to tell. They're just minor changes. So the course has stood the test of time, which is without a lot of changes, other than cutting the trees down. I forget when they did that, around 97 or something like that. But it's just a great venue, and it's in perfect shape.
I can't wait to watch it. Oakmont's known for very, very fast greens. What were they rolling out there today, if you had to guess?
Probably around, I think they were probably faster on Monday. They were closer to 15. And that's getting it on a level. When they do that test or when they run that, that's on a flat level surface. Some of these downhills, I don't even know, Jay, what you could guess. I heard they did not cut them for Tuesday morning as low as they were on Monday, and the course is perfectly playable right now. It's not off the charts firm. You can kind of control your ball if you're in the fairway. But if it gets firm and fast, I don't know how they will, though. I think we're supposed to get some rain. So, and if that's the case, I think the scores will obviously be a little bit better because with the soft fairways, it won't roll into the rough as much, and they'll be able to be a little more aggressive on the approaches to some of the pin placements.
And EJ, correct me if I'm wrong, Oakmont is where the church pew bunkers are. Can you
Yes.
describe those? Describe those for me.
Well, they're like they say, they're a church pew, but in between, what looks to me different is they've made them deeper. So it's down the left side. The first set of them you'll see is on the left side of number 3 and the left side of number 4. And if you barely go in them, you got a chance to play out. But if you hit it into the middle of them, it's so deep and the pews are so tall. And the first set of them, they have tall, wispy grass. So you're down in those things, and you have a long way to the green as well, because they lengthen them. Because of the technology and how far our ball's going now off the tee, they lengthen the church pew bunkers on number 3 to extend past 300. So what they're trying to do is, if you go in there, make it severe enough penalty that you cannot get to the green. You're going to have to lay up, and then you're going to have to pitch it on. But they look cool on TV, and I think this is probably the only place, or the place, that started it. There may be some copies, but these are the original church pew, and they're very distinct. You can't miss them when TV shows them, and they're highly documented and talked about. So they're kind of neat. I wouldn't want to be in them, but they're kind of neat.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty neat. Today you got to play or follow around when Kevin was playing a practice round with the 94 champion Ernie Els. Is Ernie's swing ever bit as graceful as it's always been, EJ?
Yeah, I was talking to Bob, and he's a big man. And Bob said he's gained weight, but he hasn't gained it in the stomach. It's like he's just gotten broader shouldered, thicker. Just looks more like a linebacker, but he's very funny. Very, you can see why they call him the Big Easy. He was very gracious to Kevin, willing to help him on, like, just starting off from the very first hole on some places that he might land it and let it release down to the front pins. Very gracious to the crowd, signed autographs, took pictures with the kids. Just a great guy. That's the closest I've ever been to him for that amount of time. And he was very impressive to me with how gracious and stuff he was to Kevin, the crowd, and his swing is still the same. I mean, obviously everyone's aware of his Masters disaster with the 6-putt, but he couldn't have handled it any better in the press room after. So I just have a great amount of respect for him, and even more after being with him today.
I can imagine. Yeah, he's one of those guys that he just seems to, even though internally he may be, just fuming or what have you, he seems to always handle every situation with grace. And he's been a great champion to watch over the years. And I just feel fortunate that, been able to watch him for as long as we have and, been able to see some of his great moments. And it's great seeing him swing and playing well. I want to ask you about a few of the other players. Obviously, Ricky Fowler's got 6 top 10 finishes this year, and he's looking great. Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth. Obviously, you have to pick Spieth on every tournament, but Jason Day, and I think Phil Mickelson. I would love to see Phil be able to keep the ball in play. I think Oakmont only has 2 par 5s, so maybe keeping it in play in a great short game might be Mickelson's week. What do you think about those top players?
Well, it's like we ran into Bones yesterday, his caddy, and Bob. We engaged in conversation with him about it, and he's quick to point out that Phil has the lowest stroke average on the PGA Tour this year, which at 45 or 46 is pretty darn impressive. So obviously he's having a very good year. The swing changes that he's made have obviously proved to be better. I think he never lacks confidence, and he never lacks a good short game. Bones' only comment to us about it was that Phil, with this venue, because of the severity of some of the greens, doesn't feel like you get enough green lights where you're just in the fairway and you're looking at the pin placement and going, this is a no-brainer. I'm taking it right at the hoop, and I'm going to stuff it. Because of the severity of the greens, you can't always do that. And I think with Phil's personality, he just likes to send it right there, and with the contour, it could bounce in the bunker. It could bounce away 50 feet. So I'm not speaking for Phil on the venue as far as how much he likes it, but I kind of get the impression that I don't think he would put this on his number one place of majors courses that he would prefer. It doesn't mean that he can't win the tournament because
right.
Obviously
it's not like he's
well.
licking. You're saying he's like probably not out on the fairway licking his chops. Like I'm going to go right after that pin. He's probably going to have to play very defensive. And what you're saying is that's sometimes not his style. His style is to pedal down and go for it, which is why we all love him.
Yeah, correct. I think he's a very aggressive player because his short game's so good. It allows him the freedom to be a little more aggressive because there's no consequence from a bad shot that he doesn't think he can handle, like a lot of players out here at this level. But I think the green light is what separates him from a lot of the competition where some guys would be a little hesitant, and I don't think Phil's scared. And like Toy and I talked about today, a great shot isn't always rewarded here because the greens are so severe.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? What do you think about?
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. What do you think about Ricky Fowler's chances?
I think when you get down to the Jason Days, the Rory McIlroys, guys like that, it's hard to figure out. Yeah, Dustin Johnson. It's such a fine line. Very fine line that I don't know how you could pick against any of them. I don't think this is a venue where a newbie is just going to come in here and dominate. I think experience helps. Seeing venues like this, and so I would think those guys would have a very good chance. The Spieth putts so well that with his confidence with the short stick, that only helps him as well. So I hope an American wins, obviously on U.S. soil, but there's no guarantees because there's a lot of good players in the field.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be exciting to watch. From what I understand, Fox is covering the tournament, and I'm actually excited to listen to Azinger. He's one of my favorite golf analysts, and I think he's going to be, I don't know what they call it, but he's going to be the head broadcaster, I guess, for the tournament. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to listen to his perspective.
Well, I can tell you too, Dave, those guys work very hard at walking. There's guys, the Olin Browns, their whole cast has been out there every single day, watching, observing, asking questions. What's your strategy? How are you going to play it? So I don't know how it'll come across to the viewer, but I can tell you it's not from lack of doing their homework to make sure they can bring the total experience to the viewer, because they're working their tails off to take it all in and make sure they're well educated on every slope, every pin, anything you could possibly want to know. You can see them out there, and they're out there all day long, just walking the course, talking to players, talking to caddies. So I'm anxious to see how it comes across on TV, because just being here, it's special, and I hope they can portray that on the television. I hope they can do it justice.
Yeah, I hope they do. I can't wait to watch it. I think it's going to be a great tournament. What's the weather forecast? Is there any major weather coming, or what are they saying?
No, there's a chance of showers, which I don't know if they have a sub-air system here or not. Yeah, it may. If they have the sub-air, they can suck it out, but I'm not sure if they have the sub-air system below the surfaces of these greens or not. It seems like today most of the venues do have it, but I'm not sure if they have it here. And like I said, if we do get a little rain, it'll only make the scoring chances for, improve. So either way, it'll still be a good competition. It just might be a little lower scores if we get some moisture, but it's not supposed to be super windy, and I don't think it's going to be overly hot. Heck, it's been 77 to 80 degrees, not a breath of wind. It's just been perfect these last 3 days.
That's awesome. What time do you guys go out tomorrow?
I think Kev goes at 1:05.
Nice. Who's he playing with, do you know?
No, I'm not sure who he's playing with. My work here is done. I actually now have to go to some meetings in Chicago for my other venture that you're well aware of. So I'm switching gears here a little bit when I leave here tomorrow morning.
Right on, EJ. Tell the listeners, other than golf instruction, your other company, your other business that you're in, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I was doing some, and I still do some, when the economy was very good before the last market dip. We did a lot of outings with your buddy Stan Utley, and one of the gentlemen didn't think the golf instruction business model was a very good one. So he said, EJ, we got to get you involved in something you're passionate about. And he said, do we need to get a golf course or do I need to build you a teaching center or a golf school? Or I said, no, none of that. So what are we going to do? I said, I want to start a deer food company. He said, where'd that come from? I go, well, my passion's always been whitetails, and I'd messed around in the past with some nutrition stuff, and I worked on a business model for 6 months, flying back and forth from Chicago, and then finally, when I finished the business model, he said, let's go, and he started funding it, and that started 4 years ago. And so we build, and a lot of it's based on Dr. Harry Jacobson's research from Mississippi State. Studied whitetails there for 32 years. So he's the backbone of how we got started, added credibility to the company right away, and he manages ranches from Mexico to Long Island. So we try to build a quality feed through different mills that I have in Texas, Alabama, Kansas, Oklahoma. We build low fence, free range, pen raised deer. We build feed for those type guys and we don't sell a bill of goods. Our product, we work from the inside out. We try to help the rumen and the overall health of the animal. And if we take care of our job, if the genetics and age are there, we can help with the growth of and the health of the herd and the overall growth of the animal. like I tell people, we're just part of the equation. We're not the answer, so in areas where there might be drought, we serve probably a little stronger effect. And in areas where there's a lot of moisture and perfect growth, we're probably not going to be as much of the answer. So it's just part of the equation. And it's been growing ever since we started and moving in the right direction.
And that company, you're based out of Oklahoma?
Yeah, we're based out of Edmond, Oklahoma, Garland Animal Wellness headquarters. The main hub is out of Chicago, where our investor group is, and then our offices are in Edmond, Oklahoma. And like I said, we have 2 mills in Kansas that help me with Kansas, the north side, or the west side and east side. And then and they help me with New Mexico. And then I have 3 in Texas, because obviously Texas, it's a $1 billion business. There's a lot of high fence and preserves and exotics and all that in Texas, and then I do some in Mississippi and Alabama. So it's
EJ,
fun.
Translating what you were just saying, nutritious or healthy deer that are doing very well tend to grow bigger antlers. Is that correct?
Well, if you can keep them healthy, because they're going to have, to equate it to a human, cold, cough, fever, flu, you never know. They could get, during the rut, they could get stuck with an antler and get some infection. But if we can get stuff in their system to help them recover from the rut, from getting, gored by an antler or whatever, if we can help them with that and get the body turned around and healthy again, more energy and effort can be spent on antler growth. More energy and effort can be spent on raising healthy fawns, helping them with their immune system. I use an essential oils pack in my product. Our fat, fiber, and energy levels and protein are always at the optimal level based on Dr. Harry's research at Mississippi State. So if I can keep those levels ideal, and keep them healthy, then, like I said, the energy can be spent on antler growth. Right now, there's a lot going on. Fawns are dropping in Oklahoma. The antlers are growing. Does are lactating. So there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of pull on that, the body of a buck, the body of a doe right now. So nutrition is key ingredient in the success of keeping these animals healthy for the rest of the season.
When is, for people out there that are going to feed, when I hear you saying right after the rut, so are you saying from December through summer is the best time to feed? Well,
a little of the misnomer is everyone targets bucks. And from my perspective, Jay, if your does are healthy, I guarantee you your bucks are healthy, because from all the studies, there's the gentleman named Dr. Hewitt, and his studies and Dr. Harry's studies are identical. And if you look like the life of a buck and the life of a doe seasonally, you can grow giant bucks on 12% protein. Does need 16%. When do they need that? They need that from pretty much the time they get pregnant until lactation's over. So if a guy says, when should I be feeding? I base it on the cycle of a doe. Because if he follows those rules, the buck's going to be just fine. And then we go down to 13% protein, because after lactation, their metabolism shuts down 20 to 25%. So they don't need the levels of protein so we're trying to get them ready for rut. We're trying to keep them healthy during the rut. So guys always ask me, when's optimal feed time? I say, as soon as they shed those antlers, you can start if you want. And some guys do it year round and some guys do not. It depends on budget. So then we got to build a feeding program around a budget, which, we can help them with that as well. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but the guidelines for me are, if the doe's healthy, your bucks are going to be perfect. You're going to be doing just fine with the bucks. I don't target bucks. I target the does.
And EJ, when a new property owner comes to you and you go out personally and assess the property, and don't you gather samples and such, and try and determine where the deer are at as far as their health, and then you try and build them a formula based on what you've found?
Yeah, what you try to do is figure out what their habitat can support herd-wise, because you design the feeding program. How many head of deer do you want to feed? Well, should I be calling out does? Well, I don't know. Do you want to feed them? Do you want the spikes at the feeder? Do you want all the does at the feeder? So Dr. Harry has a formula that, on acreage, we figure out how much available forage there is for them, and based on that, how many deer they can handle based on available forage. And then if I can help them add some feed to that area that they could have a larger holding capacity, that's how we do it. And then based on that, we figure out how many feeders per depending on their size, 10 acres, 20 acres, 30 acres, depending on the available browse, pasture versus woods. So then we get in there, and Dr. A will say, well, that property can support 5 deer per 10 acres, and they're going to eat 2.5 pounds a day. And so based on that, I can tell them how many feeders to put in, what size feeders to put in, and roughly what their consumption is going to be. If there's drought, the consumption may go up. And if it's a lush year for growing like it is this year, consumption may go down. And then we can pull samples from the soil to figure out the soil deficiency, and we can design them a mineral based on the deficiency of the soil, not just a mineral that is just for anywhere in the United States. So we try to make the mineral specific to their area and their deficiency.
So do you have feed and mineral both?
Yes.
You have. Is the mineral in the feed, or is mineral separate that they're licking?
Most of the ingredients that is in our feed, as far as our proprietary premix, is also in the mineral. And in the mineral, I think where we separate ourselves is our carriers. A lot of people use corn or rice bran because the consumer says, oh, this deer's hammering my mineral lick. Well, they have to eat so much of it to get the nutritional value that the competitors will put a lot of that stuff in there to make sure that people are seeing the consumption level. Ours is our carrier. We use a yeast product that's way more nutritional, and ours, they only require 1.5 ounces. So if they touch their tongue to my mineral, they're almost getting their daily requirement of mineral for that time. And we use only the highest quality trace mineral packs you can get. And so I'm not interested. I don't have to worry about using higher palatability ingredients with less nutritional value to keep my margins up because I don't have as many middlemen. I'm just interested in the highest quality ingredients with the highest palatability and nutritional value so that I can get my customers to see the benefit of using the product through results. If they're letting them walk, letting them get their age on them, and if they have the right genetics, I think it's a good formula.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. EJ, you have people that are customers of yours that range from how many acres to how many acres? I mean, small to big, correct?
Yes, 30 acres at most, say, are pass-through properties where they're trying to get them to hang in there a little longer, or maybe stage because they know they have the right amount of cover, but their neighbor may have the food. So I'll try to help them lay out a plan where maybe they put a small food plot in a feeder to see if we can get them comfortable there with the coverage and the food. And maybe they hang in there during, a little longer so these individuals have a chance to hunt them, and those are 30. And then we have guys that have, there's some customers, I know our largest high fence is probably 15,000 acres, and our overall largest private landowner is 68,000 acres.
Wow. Have you had your product, have you fed your product to elk? And
yes.
If so, how has it gone?
Good. I have, who we cater to mostly, it seems, Jay, is longhorn steers, elk, and whitetails. That's why we called it Garland Animal Wellness, so we could expand. And it's done very well with the longhorn steers. We've done very well with elk. And so, fortunately for us, we feel good about it from a design perspective, and the results have shown that it is a good, high-quality product. So it's been fun because these landowners spend a lot of money. We have one customer that bought a buck for $160,000. So when someone tells you they want to use your feed and they've spent that much on one animal, you go to bed at night and you better have a clear conscience that you've got a very good product, because you do not want to kill these animals.
Yeah.
And so he's been with us since day one, and the buck has done very, very well. It's a buck called Rampage, and it's in Tulsa, and it's a fantastic animal. He's getting up in age now, but he produces fantastic offspring, and it's been a very good relationship, and he's helped us with our product and feedback, and luckily it's paid off for him in results. So it's been fun.
That's great. So you have a whole range of customers, from free range to high fence to breeder bucks to all sorts of stuff that are eating your product.
Yeah, even little, people that don't even hunt, they'll come in and buy a little 50-pound feeder that straps to a tree just so they can see deer in their backyard. And I try to help everybody. It's fun. I enjoy the interaction. It's just like the golf thing. I mean, the interaction and to feel people's passion for something I'm passionate about with the golf and the deer. It's really pretty cool. I'm pretty blessed to be able to do two things that I love every single day. And sometimes it gets a little hectic balancing both. Don't get me wrong. Today and yesterday, you're out on the course, you can't use your cell phone, and your phone's lighting up with people. Hey, I need more feed. I need more feed. Can you give me more feeders? Can you give me this? And it's like, just give me a little time. I got to take care of one thing, and then I'll get back to it. So it's hectic, but it's like I said, as it's a love. I mean, it's fantastic. It's a good problem to have.
That's great. I remember you almost gave up teaching the day that you tried to give me a lesson. I remember you walking off, scratching your head, thinking you've finally met your match of someone that you couldn't help.
Well, I guess there's two kinds of people I try to help understand they might need to do something else, and people I actually help. And I guess I help you convince yourself you need to do something else. And look what it's done. Your career has skyrocketed in the hunting world. So I probably helped you. You probably owe me.
Yeah, I probably do owe you a commission for sure. That's awesome. EJ, have you drawn anything, or do you have any hunts coming up this fall that you're eyeballing, or what do you got going on?
Well, as you know, because you helped me understand, and my passion's always been quality animals with a bow and arrow. So I started drawing that first year. If you remember 3A and 3C, I think I drew it my first year, which is 17 years ago, because I have 18 points because I had one loyalty point. So I
remember you were living in Palm Springs
Yep.
when you were teaching golf out there, and you came and had we actually camped in 3C. I think I had a client and you had a 4B tag, and now You're sitting on 18 points in Arizona, which is awesome. Next year is probably going to be your year. I thought you were going to say, well, I would have drawn in Utah, but you stole my tag, Jay, is what I thought you were going to say.
It doesn't hurt having one of your good buddies who I know, if anyone will appreciate it as much, if not more than me, it's you. So I'm ecstatic for you. I can't wait to hear the stories that come out of it, and it'd be pretty cool if you drew it this year and I drew it next year. That would even be better. But I also put in your buddy Dar helped me, because you guys both helped me out as far as I think I put in the strip archery and then the strip rifle for deer, and then I put in for sheep as well in Arizona. So
awesome.
Those, neither do I have hopes that I have no, and I'll probably draw them now that my expectations are virtually zero that I'll get any. I'll probably get one of them, but as a fallback, I have 5 Iowa bonus points, and so my plan is to go to Iowa this fall.
Oh, that's great. And Colorado, you did not draw either, did you?
No, I have 12 or 13 elk points there, which I just really want to burn those up because from what I talked to, from talking to you and a lot of the resources that you've been nice enough to give to me as far as talking to guys, it doesn't sound like long term, even if I kept on in Colorado, I'll get to those premier units. So I'm probably going to do something muzzleloader next year wise on that, depending on your thoughts about when we discuss Arizona next year and Utah, how strongly you feel about the chances of that. I might just try to burn up the Colorado elk. So that's probably the least excited tag, Jay, or least excited state, even though I guess population wise, it probably have more elk, from what I read and understand than any other state. It's not interesting to me right now because my sights are set on Utah and Arizona.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have 17 points in Colorado for elk as well, and it's definitely not at the top of my list. One of these days, just put in for maybe a high country hunt and just go have a good time and chase some bugles around. But, certainly if you're chasing size, Utah and Arizona, get those. You've got a bunch of points in both those states. Get those premium hunts out of the way, and maybe then just take your time and enjoy a Colorado hunt would probably be wise. So what you need to do is.
Well,
what?
I was thinking too, I don't know if any of these states it's transferable because my son's getting to the age now where the joy that I get of spending that he just turned 12, and fortunately in Oklahoma we have an apprentice license where as long as I'm within arm's reach of him, we can hunt together. And so that started at 7, and some of the coolest. Now, they are the coolest hunts I've been on, and as you know, I've been fortunate to shoot a lot of animals all over the country at some really nice places. Those still are the fondest memories I have to date as far as hunting and sharing those experiences with my son and just the outdoors and chasing the animals around and trying to get him to understand the respect that he needs to have for the wildlife that we're fortunate to chase around. It's been cool. So I'd almost
Is he
consider
digging
now. Oh, he eats it up.
That's awesome.
He just loves it. I haven't introduced him to the fly fishing, but we're getting there. And I get jealous every time I look at your stuff and see those big browns and stuff you're catching.
That's what I was gonna say. You need to bag the golf and bag the deer feed. Put the telephone on do not disturb and get lost in Aspen, Colorado for about a week. Hear about the second week of July.
It's because of this podcast I get an offer for the deer feed company that's appealing. Who knows? I might end up there. You never know. If I sell the deer feed company, no telling what could happen. But no, it's fly fishing. When I was playing the tour, I was fortunate to be sponsored by G. Loomis. So I've been to some incredible spots with Gary Loomis, and I still have all the equipment and was blessed to be able to do all that. And it's just a part of my kid's life right now where it's all about them, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't regret any 1 minute of it, but I'm looking forward to the next stage when we can jump in the car and go fishing with Jay in Colorado or go hunting and stuff like that. But no, it's all good. It's no regrets, and we're moving on, and it's fun. I enjoy it all. Like I said, I'm very blessed to be doing what I'm doing with two things I'm passionate about, and not one day feels like work. You wake up each day and say, darn it, I got to go out on the course at Oakmont at the U.S. Open and walk with Kevin and Ernie Els. I mean, who's going to feel sorry for me?
Certainly not me.
Exactly.
I do have a funny story for you. Yesterday, we got that new little raft, that little flycraft, stealth flycraft boat for when the water gets low around here. My buddy here, Danny, we were putting the boat together, and we looked at each other, and I said, we can't just put this together and not go float it. And he goes, you want to go float the Roaring Fork now? And I said, yeah, let's go try it. It's at like 3,600 CFS and cranking it. We did. We went and floated it and had a great float, just a short float, couple mile float, and just to see how the boat performed. But he's like, you need to come out and play golf with me. And we were laughing because our friend from college golf days, Jess Wesley, is the manager of Aspen Glen, which is probably the nicest course in the valley here, and he's been the general manager for a long, long time. And Danny's like, "You need to come out and play golf." And he was talking about our friend Jess, and he's like, "You're probably just like him." And if I laid $1,000 on the ground and said, "You have to come play golf," you'd probably say, "Oh, I want to go take a nap. Don't bother me." And I said, "Yeah, that's about it." But I still love the game. I love to watch the game. It just, everybody's safer if I don't play the game. So, including myself.
A lot of the patience, though, Jay, I think about growing up with my dad and how much time we spent fishing and hunting, and I think there's a lot of times you go out, well, at least me, you're different. We wouldn't catch anything and we wouldn't kill anything, but we had a great time. And I think at the end of the day, the patience and the perseverance to want to get up early in the morning on a cold day in Buffalo, New York, to go deer hunting, and chances were you weren't going to see a thing, but you still were excited. You wanted to go, and you knew you had to walk slow. My dad was a still hunter. I mean, an unbelievably good hunter. And he would walk 10 feet, sit for an hour. We'd go 10 feet and sit again. I'm like, "Dad, we just sat for an hour 10 feet from here. Oh no, this is a whole different view down here." And so I think a lot of that helped me with the mindset for golf, to be able to handle the ebb and flow, the ups and downs, of a golf career, and even in business. I mean, there's sometimes you just got to be patient and not push the issue. It's going to be all right. And so I think a lot of the things you learn from golf help you with everyday life and hunting and fishing. So it all overlaps from my perspective.
Well, that's great that you have that perspective, and it's been great having you on the podcast. And I'd like to give you a chance to tell the listeners where they can find you for if they want to feed some deer or feed some elk, the website, maybe Facebook, or wherever you want people to come find you.
Well, our website, I think, is pretty unique because we don't jam a product down your throat. We try to tell a story. And you can click on the digestive tract of a deer and learn about digestion. And so it's a lot of educational videos. And if at the end of those you're moved to call us, obviously my number's on there. If you wanted more information, I can send packets. But it's what's crazy is it's a lot easier to find me now through the deer feed than it is golf. So but it's a good thing. Like I said, our website's garlandanimalwellness.com, and I hope people enjoy it from an educational perspective, rather than jamming a product. That's not what we're about. We want to tell you a story, tell you how we're different, and like I said, if you appreciate it and understand it and are compelled to call us, just give us a call and we'll see if we can help.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, have a great safe trip. I'll be anxious to watch the U.S. Open, as I know you'll be watching it in between meetings and such. And hopefully Fox will do a great job, which I think they will, on the coverage. And should be a great Sunday to sit and watch golf and see who comes out on top. I always love watching our national championship. It's probably my favorite tournament to watch. I love the Masters and I love the U.S. Open. They each have their own differences. But I love the U.S. Open and the fact that it brings a lot of guys to their knees. And for us, hackers, it's nice sometimes to see, the best of the best make a double bogey. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but I love it when a winning score is, 1 over or par. And to see these guys grinding it out, I just think it makes for great television.
Well, I think, too, Jay, in that perspective, when you look at and watch this event and you understand even par is what they want to be the winning score, it helps put the whole thing into perspective for you, because they're not wanting 2,200 to win this event. They're trying to identify the very best golfer in the field. And like I said, and you've talked about, I think this venue is going to do that. I think we're going to figure out who the best golfer is. For our United States Open, which is something to be proud of, I think. I mean, it's a great product, and I think they'll have a great champion. And I appreciate you having me on. I mean, you've been a friend of mine forever, and it's been cool to watch your career escalate in this field. and I know how passionate you guys are about it, and it's cool. I'm happy for it, and I hope it continues on.
Right on, buddy. Sounds good. Well, God bless you, and I'll catch you later. And yeah, be safe. I'll catch you later. Okay.
All right. Appreciate it, Jay. Thank you.